For families with autism, airports can transform from getaways to adventure into sensory minefields. The fluorescent lights, echoing announcements, unpredictable delays, and crowds of strangers, it's just creating a perfect storm of overwhelm. And what seems to be like a simple navigation to most travelers becomes an exhausting marathon of managing meltdowns, explaining invisible disabilities to impatient staff, and watching other passengers stare turn from curiosity to just plain judgment. Today, we're diving into these challenges and exploring how the travel industry can do better for the millions of autistic individuals and their families who deserve to explore the world too. We already have this at the Dubai International Airport, and there are many airports around the world which are rolling out simple accommodations for children and individual on the spectrum. More can be done. Today, I have with me Vidya Banerjee, a mother to a 19-year-old son on the spectrum. You will find her on Instagram as the face behind Autism Family Story. And she's basically created this page to help fellow autism parents in their journey with autism without the overwhelm. And that's also because she personally knows how overwhelming and isolating this journey can be. She's worked as a flight attendant for over 20 plus years. And so her career as a flight attendant has given her this opportunity to meet people from diverse cultures, to handling different type of challenging situations with professionalism, and provided exceptional customer service with the highest standards. So join me in welcoming Vidya Banerjee, and I can't wait for you to hear some of her amazing tips on how you can make traveling easy for you and your loved one. Hi, I'm Farah Danish. Welcome to my Calm Autism Mom podcast. I'm a certified brain gym movement facilitator, former special educator, and a mindset coach. Through my podcast, I bring together parents, experts from educational, psychology, and medical communities to share innovative insights on parenting and supporting individuals on the spectrum. My mission is simple: to continuously learn and share the latest autism-related news and strategies, bringing you powerful conversations and practical solutions you can use right now. So, if you're an autism mom searching for answers, support, or just some real inspiration, you're in exactly the right place, my friend. Let's transform your autism parenting journey starting right now. When Suleiman was young, he had so many sensory issues that traveling to a grocery store with him was just unthinkable. Like the sensory challenges he had, the sights and sounds, it was too much for him. So getting on a plane and traveling anywhere was just literally out of the question. First time Suleiman actually got on a plane with us was when he was 7 years old. So for 7 years of me having Suleiman, I hadn't been on a plane. And that's the truth. I thought it was just me, but it turns out that there's so many families out there with children on the spectrum for whom traveling is a huge ask. So I'm lucky that today I have with me Miss Vidya Banerjee, who's a former flight attendant, and she will be walking us through how to navigate the whole process of just traveling with your child. Because mind you, she is also a mom to a wonderful teenager on the spectrum. So let's dive straight in. Hi Vidya, how are you?
Hi, Farah. I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
I'm very good. Thank you so much, Vidya, for joining me today. There
And thank
are
you so much for having me today.
There are so many things that I want to ask you. Alhamdulillah, I'm at a situation where I feel that I've smoothly been able to get out of it. But had I been given some tips earlier, I would have loved to be able to travel with Suleiman when he was much younger. So let's basically start with the elephant in the room. Most autism parents avoid flying because they're just terrified of how their children will react, how they will behave, the public meltdown, and especially if that happens in the plane. So according to you, Vidya, what are the biggest misconceptions, first of all, that parents have about flying? I know I had many. And what would you tell parents who are literally losing sleep over an upcoming family trip?
Great question, Farah. So, the research shows that around 80% of families with children with autism or any other, special needs, they do not travel because, there are so many misconceptions around it. And I would like to list a few. So, the first thing is the parents are scared of being judged. That's the
That's the
biggest misconception.
I hear you.
That's the biggest misconception because they are like, they are going to be judged. People are going to stare at them. People are going to stare at their child. So I think that's the biggest fear. The second thing is, I think overall, they think that flying is going to be very, very stressful. Like you just mentioned, taking your son to the grocery store was so hard. And, imagine going on a plane where there is so much sensory overload, so much sensory information. I think that's causing them a lot of stress. And they
I
just
think
think, you know what, it's
I
of
think
no use, we cannot do it.
Right, right. And I think with yes, not just the children, even if we're not traveling with children, we as adults get stressed around going to the airport anyway. There is a certain stress associated with traveling. And then imagine to add to that pressure, you're traveling with a child on the spectrum. So I completely get that.
I think it's stressful for everyone, I think, including us as parents. But what I want to do is I want to, reassure the parents that it absolutely can be done. And parents of children with autism or families of children with autism, they deserve to travel. They definitely deserve to travel with some pre preparation. This definitely can be done. And I'm speaking on this issue from two angles. One being a parent to a autism, like an autistic son, and also being a flight attendant. I was a flight attendant for 18 years, and I've seen it all. I have seen, so many families over the years traveling with neurodiverse kids, their struggles, and how as flight attendant I was able to help them through my personal experience, lived experience, and the knowledge. I think I just want to reassure parents that definitely it can be done, but it does involve a lot of pre preparation.
So you mentioned that it can be done. Can you talk about a situation that you might have encountered where your lived in experience did help? Like you were able to, take that knowledge and that lived in experience and help that family.
Sure. So far, I remember, like I had many experiences over the years, but this one particular one, I remember very clearly. So we had a family of child with autism traveling. The child was very young, I think maybe around 5 or 6 years old. And they were traveling, I don't know where the flight was going to, but the child was doing good. Everything was going great in the flight. It was around a 4 hour flight. But, towards the 2 hour mark, the child started to have a meltdown. And the parents were really worried because, of course, they were getting these stares. A lot of people were understanding, but, you'll always find some people who are not. So, luckily that day, the flight was not full. But this is not going to happen on every flight because most of the flights nowadays, they are full. So the
Yeah.
family, the mom came and approached us and she briefed us about the situation. And, as a flight attendant, I understood where she was coming from and I was able to help her in the way I was able to relocate the family to a much safer area towards the back of the plane where we had some room available just to give them some space, take them away from the stairs and just to give them some space to decompress. And then, of course, the mother had carried lots of snacks and the child's safe foods and everything. But I think, maybe he was still hungry. We don't know exactly what the situation was because the child was nonverbal. I clearly remember that. So we offered him some water, maybe some blankets, and, a couple of snacks which were available on the flight. And slowly, the child, the mother put the blankets on the floor and the child lay down on the floor for a few
Wonderful.
minutes. And slowly he was able to calm down. The mother sat next to him and, offered him the snacks. She had carried lots of, sensory fidgets. toys, whatever they had. We had some things in the flight for kids, like the coloring books, coloring pads, some activity things, some stickers. So we were able to offer all those little things to the child. And I think, after maybe a few minutes, the child was able to slowly calm down. And the parents, they were so thankful because, they were not sure if they would get the help, which they were looking for. Because for as flight attendants, we do get some amount of training on, flying with special needs, whether it's kids or adults, but
I was going to
it's not
ask you.
extensive.
Yeah. Yes,
It's very
exactly.
brief, But then, I was very grateful that I was able to use my own experience as a parent and I was able to help that child out. So the parents, they were very grateful and they left us like a happy family. And I think that made such a big difference.
Of
And,
course.
it's not that every flight you will get flight attendants who understand, but normally, they are always ready to help. If you go and approach them, like during the pre boards, and just brief them about your situation, tell them, this is what the child's condition is. They might be overwhelmed by these things. And then,
Mm,
if required and if it's safe, maybe, if it's okay, you can take the child for a little walk, maybe, in the cabin, if it's okay, it's safe to do so. Or, sometimes the flight attendants are also, kind enough. They might allow you to, if the flight is full, take the child into the galley and wait there for a few minutes so they can give you some room to decompress and just take you away from the situation. So they are very, very helpful. So it's just that, as a parent, you have to be proactive and then brief them about your child's situation. I
that's
think which is very important.
exactly. Now, that family was lucky that you were on that plane, right? And like you just mentioned, that not a lot of flight attendants well, actually, not most flight attendants are given that kind of training. It's at a very superficial level. You had the advantage of lived in experiences that you could use, and you could immediately see. I bet you could have seen, oh my god, there is something and this is going to escalate, and you probably put on your mom hat and you knew exactly what that child needed, and you were able to offer
Correct.
some strategy solutions. So, but again, not all airlines would have someone like you on the plane. What do you think, apart from what you just mentioned now, right? That brief the staff on the plane the minute you get on and ask them if it's okay, if it's a full flight, and if something were to happen, can the child be in the galley so that he can decompress over there, give him some space over there? And what other strategies do you think, or tips do you think, that moms can take with them when they're getting on a flight, just in case something like that happens? Like you mentioned, extra blanket as well, that you were able to give an extra blanket, and that is something I think they can request for as well. But is there anything else that you would suggest a mom should come prepared with?
Sure, Farah. Great question again. So there are a lot of things you can actually do before you actually fly with your child. So it's called kind of pre-preparation. I will suggest that's the first place you start with. So what you will do is get a social story, a visual social story explaining all the steps for your child so you can explain to them what exactly they can expect. Nowadays, it's readily available. If you just go on Google and type flying social stories, I'm sure you will get many of them. So pick
Yeah.
one which is as per your child's level and their understanding. Get the social story, print it out, and actually start reading them that social story. I would say at least a month before your actual travel date. So that way you are kind of preparing them for,
Right. Okay.
the predictability, for let them know what's going to happen. So it's not a
Yeah.
surprise for them, because it's going to be
Yes.
very overwhelming otherwise if you just land up on the plane without any pre-preparation. So I think that's the place I'll start with. First thing. The second thing you can do is,
Start a month
sorry
before
for
with
I,
start a month before with printouts, just to ensure that there's predictability. The child knows what he's in for.
correct. Exactly, exactly. Second thing is, depending on where you live, like USA or say Dubai, these airports are advanced, They do have many programs where they offer, parents and children, they can do like a mock flight. So without actually going on a flight, They allow you to go on the flight and get that whole experience. So that's the second thing you can do. The third thing, Farah, you can do is, they will have to, and if you have a checklist and pack all these things. So to make sure that, they don't forget all this. So say noise canceling headphones, fidget toys, iPad, fully charged iPad with all the
Fully
games
charged.
or movies, whatever their child likes. Most
Yeah.
important, they're safe foods. Carry lots of it because chances are what your child likes might not be available on the plane. So it's always better to be prepared. So carry lots of foods. They're safe foods, lots of snacks. If your child is on any medications, make sure you pack those medications because you don't want to forget your medications and, so you don't miss the dosage. So you want to be prepared for that. The other thing you also very important to carry is a doctor's note. That is what I used to do. Always carry a doctor's note explaining your child's diagnosis. It just helps, God forbid, if there's any other situation which comes up, at least you have a backup. You do have a doctor's note explaining your child's diagnosis. So I always used to keep it. And especially during COVID, when there was a requirement to wear the mask, we had a
Yeah.
doctor's note for mask exemption. But fortunately, my son, because we had practiced it over a long time, he wore the mask
He
during the
was
whole
able to.
flight. So we didn't need it. But it's always better to have that with you. The other thing is packing any kind of visuals, lots of visuals, social story or say like a visual schedules, like laminated, so that way you can reuse it. Having all these things in a bag. And sometimes I might also suggest, Farah, carry something new, which your child has not seen yet, like a new toy, maybe like a new coloring book, whatever their interest is. Maybe they like doing puzzles. So maybe carry a small little puzzle, which is new for them, So carry some things like that. So it can at least keep your child busy for maybe 10-15 minutes. So, which is big for our children. So,
During queue.
those are the things I'll suggest.
Yeah, when you're stuck in queues at the airport, for instance, that really helps. And I think it's IKEA which has these portable sets that you can take, where you have your colored markers and like a small whiteboard as well. So you just unzip it and you can
Mm-hmm.
use it and dump everything together and zip it. So I love that idea that you mentioned about taking something new. So the child
Yeah,
associates not just the airport experience, but it's like a distraction for them as well, that okay, they have something. And to think about it, Vidya, right, when we are stuck in long queues, what do? We're on our phones as well. We tend to do
exactly.
that. That's a very normal
Yeah.
behavior. So when so it's why not teach them that skill as well, that it's okay to be on a device when you're stuck in a queue. The doctor's note, I love that one. I never thought of that one, to be honest, because yeah, I don't know why didn't I ever think of that, because I'm like, he looks pretty autistic enough and I think that should suffice. But the funny thing about that is that I remember we were at an airport. I think this was Karachi airport, and it was so hilarious. Like, I have to mention this. We were in the immigration line, and my husband goes up front and cuts the line and informs them that we have a child on the spectrum, a special needs
Uh-huh.
child, and if they could allow us quick passage. The guy was like, very instantly, he's like, yeah, sure, sure, absolutely. Where's the child? And we're like, oh, there he is, right there with my family. He's like, yes, yes, please come on. So he got us, he pushed us up front, looks at my son's passport, does the stamp and whatever is needed, and lets him through. And we're like, we're standing waiting for ours, and he's like, no, why do you need to go?
Oh my God, that's so funny because they
What
always
is the
allow.
what is the point of
Exactly.
having him go through if the rest of
I
us are
know.
in
My
line?
God. That's
And
the
so
funniest thing I've heard.
oh my God. And it didn't stop there, Vidya. And then after that, he's like, okay, so one person can go through. We're like, again, you're missing the point. If one person goes through, they still have to wait for the rest of us.
Exactly. Oh my God. So I think that's the whole point, right? The priority boarding or the priority,
Yeah.
checking out or the security lines. It's for the whole family, not just that child. Because what's the
Yeah.
child
And
going to do? Go and wait for you for 2 hours?
getting a letter
It's
from a doctor,
crazy.
it just excuses you from having to explain anything at all. You just show a certificate and you can get on. I mean, there was another mom who mentioned this, and I think a doctor's note would have helped her, where she was traveling with her child and her child had a meltdown and he didn't look autistic. So everyone around her thought that she was kidnapping this child. True story. Okay. And she like the kind of stares
Oh
she
my
was getting.
God.
There were people approaching her and who would
Yeah.
outright ask her that, is this your child? I think for,
Oh my
families like
gosh.
that, dealing with questions like that on top of dealing with a child who's having a full blown out meltdown, it helps to have a doctor's note. It's like you just don't need to waste your
It's
energy.
so stressful, you know. So for those are the things they can do before the trip, like before the actual trip. But then there are some other things, you know, which I want to mention is you can call the airline and ask the airline to put a DPNA code on your booking for your child.
Yes.
So what it is disabled passenger with developmental or intellectual disability requiring assistance. Very, very important that you have the DPNA code put on your booking. So that way the airline staff are trained to know that your child has special needs and you might need assistance. So they are trained to provide you with that. So very important for parents to make sure they do that. Second thing for, I'm sure you are familiar with it, but maybe other moms, they are not. Sunflower lanyard, very important. You know, it's a lanyard with sunflower
Yes.
lanyard program. So what you can
Is
do
that
is you can
recognized
go,
everywhere? Is that
I think
recognized?
so. Majority of the airports, they do. But again,
Okay.
it depends, you know, where you're traveling from. But I think at least Dubai, USA, Canada, the majority of the airports,
It's
I think they
recognized
do
here.
offer that. And what that is, it's a discreet way for the airline staff to know that your child, you or your child has a special need and you might require assistance. So that's a discreet way. So you can wear that, the child can wear the sunflower lanyard, and then it will be easier for you not to wait in those long security lines. The TSA Cares, which is a program here in US. I'm sure there must be something in Dubai like that, where the parents, they are allowed to bypass that big lines, the long lines. You don't have to wait in the queue. And I think you have to do it 3 days before your actual traveling date. So then you're assigned a person who can help you with all that. That alleviates a lot of anxiety and stress for the parents. So these are some little things, but I hope parents take these notes down, because these are the things which will make your flying experience much smoother. So these are the good things to know. So TSA Care, Sunflower Lanyard, if available, depending on what airport you're
It
flying
is
from,
available here too.
DPNA
Yeah.
code for the airlines. And then, say you reach the airport, a lot of airports, I know in USA, I don't think there are many airports, but there are some airports which do offer sensory rooms. So,
Mhm.
maybe the parents can take advantage of the sensory rooms before actually boarding the flight. So, it just gives a few minutes, like a sensory experience, like a sensory diet kind of experience for your child, I think, which can help for the trip. So that is a great idea. Again, not all airports offer it, but
They
some
offer
do.
it. I think most airports, what they do offer instead are, I mean, I know it's not ideal, but prayer rooms. And that is something that, I mean, you get the silence that you need. Not ideal, but at least it's a quiet place where you can take your child just before they're boarding. Okay, so we've covered everything that you can do prior to getting on a flight, what you can do while you are on flight, and what you can ask the staff for. What do you now think that, and you probably might have answered this, but the one that is like the biggest takeaway that you would recommend to a newbie mom, like being a veteran yourself, right? That a mom would hear it and go, oh my God, why didn't anybody tell me that before? What would be your favorite pick?
I think my favorite thing is the preparing the child for the trip, preparing the child for the flight, because I think that sets the tone for the whole flying experience. I think for me, if I was to pick one, because there are so many, but if I had something, especially for a new mom, who is scared, who has never traveled, actually, no, there are two. So one is, of course, pre-preparation before the actual trip. And then second, start small. Don't go for an 8-hour trip right away. No, that's
My
not
God.
recommended.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. That makes so much sense because my first trip was the trip to Karachi from Dubai, which is an hour and a half flight. And that was, I think, the best decision we made. Thank you so much for saying that. I had almost forgotten about that. Yeah, yeah, start small.
I suddenly remembered it. Yeah.
That's
But I
true.
think that's the biggest takeaway. Small trips. Start small and then, like you did, hour flight, hour and a half flight, just to get used to the whole experience and then
Yeah.
go on longer flights. Because, by that time, as a parent, you will be in a much better position to help your child. Your child will exactly know what to expect. It's not going to be too much sensory because you know how the airports are, even for us, so many people, large crowds, loud announcements, and gate changes, and so many things. Even for us as adults,
The air
yeah,
pressure changed the ears. And most of our kids have, sensitivities around the ears anyway. So that's a very
correct.
uncomfortable feeling. One and a
So
half 1.5 hour or an hour of flight doesn't give them that chance to go to sleep as well. So, imagine if your child falls asleep and then trying to wake them up and like, oh, it's time to go. That's another meltdown waiting to happen. So, yeah, an hour and a half can go by fairly quickly. So, you just the thought that you only have to do this for an hour and a half. I remember when our plane landed after that short flight, we gave each other high fives, and people around us were like, it's an hour half flight. Like, what are they making a big deal about? Nobody knew why it was a big deal for us.
exactly. And then the other thing, Farah, is I think if possible, go direct flights, don't do those layovers because I think that adds a other layer of stress because maybe your flight from destination A is on time, but your flight from the other destination might be delayed. So it's not in your control. So I think it's better to go for direct flights. So I think that way it will definitely reduce a lot of stress. So just some simple things, but I think this will definitely help parents, who are thinking of traveling with their neurodiverse kids and they are skeptical whether it can be done and, what other things, they need to plan. It does require a lot of planning and preparation. But I'm sure slowly with experience and, taking those short trips, they can slowly, prepare themselves, prepare their child. And, these families, our kids, they deserve to build memories. They deserve to go places because there is research like I mentioned in the beginning, 80% of families, neurodiverse families, they do not travel because they are scared. They are scared of the judgments, they are scared of that meltdown which might happen, and then whether the airlines will accommodate them. So, they have so many doubts. They have like so much fears that, they think it's much easier. Don't bother, why bother to go through all that? But I think, I just want to reassure them, both as a mom and as a flight attendant for over 18 years, to reassure them, no, it can be done. You deserve to travel. Your children deserve to travel. But, just take help. And if you don't know something, if you have a question, airline staff, they are very helpful. Approach them, explain your situation, and they'll help you.
Yeah. And the thing is, I only realized this after I started traveling that the learning opportunities for in during traveling is immense because you're outside your comfort zone, waiting in line, interacting with people, the loud
Mhm.
noise, all of that. That is something that no other kind of therapy can ever give you. So if this
Oh,
is like
perfect.
the huge life skill that you really don't want to delay it, you really want to get on it, and and I know I completely get it. It's frightening for some families, and I absolutely love the tip about start small. Do those mock-up flight, do the 1 hour flight, like start there. Love it.
Mention for about the learning experience, that's gold mine. That's a gold mine. You're providing the learning experience in the real world. There is no textbook, there is no therapy room. This is the real world, and you're preparing your child for that.
I'm pretty certain that it's going to help a lot of families, so thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Farah, for having me today. I really appreciate you taking the opportunity for inviting me to be a guest on your podcast. Thank you so much for that. And I really hope that parents can take this information and they can have start traveling with their children.
So Vidya, how can families reach you?
I am the face behind Autism Family Story. You can say my little universe I have created. So I'm on a mission to help fellow autism parents who are struggling and they are overwhelmed as to how to help their child with autism. As you know, I'm a mom to a 19-year-old son, soon going to be 20. So I have lots of years of experience behind me. And I do this through my blog, my podcast. I'm the host of the Autism Family Story podcast, where I have more than 100 episodes focusing on different topics, which will definitely be helpful for parents of children with autism. And also, they can follow me on Instagram, TikTok.
Thank you so much, Vidya. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Farah. Likewise, absolute pleasure to be here today.